Hi, guys. I just finished watching Wicked, and I have quite a few things to say about it. I loved it and I hated it at the same time, and I'm going to tell you why. All right. So, as I said, I can't really blame the characters in the movie for, these stereotypes and bordering on racist images, um, because that's how the play was made in the first place. So, they're just kind of doing their roles. But there's a lot of stereotypes in this movie that if when it goes to our young children, it creates negative impressions in their mind. Let me know if you guys saw what see what the same thing that I saw in this movie. Um, as I said, I love the cameo from Kristen uh, Chenoweth and also Idina Menzel. I thought that was really cute. I did love their cameo in the movie. Um, Jeff Goldblum was good as well. I think that's who that was. Um, Michelle Yeoh. I don't know if I'm gonna have to check her if I'm saying her name correct. I loved her from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That was one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen that movie, go see it. It's really good. Um, and the ladies were great. Cynthia, Ariana Grande, they were really great as well. Singing beautiful. I just absolutely adore Cynthia Erivo's voice. Oh my gosh, all her songs, great. And when the two of them sang together, really great. They make a really good match. I see why they blend so well together. But yes, they sing really great together. Uh, I also loved the last song that Cynthia Erivo sang as well. So overall, the singing was great. The movie was 2 hours and 41 minutes, which I thought was a bit long. And I don't know if the movie is necessarily to cater to kids. I figure it was a kid. I thought it was a kids movie. I did see some teenagers in the theater. I didn't see a lot of young kids, but I did see a few young kids, mostly hanging around benches, going like this because they couldn't sit still for that long. But it was because it was long. But I did see some teenagers. They walked in and out and they were doing their thing. But basically, it's a movie that's gonna appeal to families and children as well. So for 2 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes, a bit long, and at the end it said to be continued, meaning there's probably going to be another one, a follow up. But I thought there was a lot of great things about it, but there was also stuff that I really disliked. And as I said, it's not necessarily about the characters, but more about the storyline. And it's an original storyline. There was a Broadway play. As I said, I did see the Manhattan version of the transgender version years ago with a few friends. We went to see that, and that was fun. Um, but I didn't see the Broadway play. And I saw Kristen Chenoweth, and she did a interview and she was saying how much she loved it, which I can understand. She loved it. But to me, the biggest issue was all the negative images and how it made a lot of the characters appear. And it seemed the only people that fared really positive in this to me was um, the white blonde female and the chiseled white male. Those were the only ones who appeared in a positive light, although it did, give the impression that we're all flawed. It gave somewhat of that impression. But the biggest negative for me was the way the black woman was portrayed. That was one of the biggest negatives for me. And it made it appear that we're strong, but yet we'll sit around and take the bull, which we've always, in a certain way. I can understand with the whole election thing. A lot of black women were complaining in regards to that. Um, but that movie, the end of that movie reminded me. That's what came to my mind was the whole thing going on with the election and black women and how they're feeling during this time. Because in the end, um, Alphaba just had to fly off. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you the end, but in the end, it just gave the impression that I'm not gonna tell you the end, but in the end, it gave the impression that black women were somewhat beast of burden, as we would say. I don't know if you say that same thing in America, but that's what we would say in Jamaica, beast of burdens. We take all the brunt, we take all the issues, and then we just have to deal with it. And that's the impression I got from that movie. To me, is why is an example of why we can't move forward in this society in changing how people think about other races and other people, and the stereotypes that continue. This is an example of that, but it doesn't just happen in this movie. It happens in a lot of cartoons and movies that are sent to kids, and this is why kids, in my impression, they grow with these belief systems because they see these things on TV. So when they're seeing the Wiz comes out, and the Wiz image is a black man being mean, and then the Wiz comes out and says, "Oh, I just put that to scare people." Come on now. Let's think about these things. Don't act like, I mean, if I see it, I'm sure other people see it as well. Or the fact that the monkeys are portrayed in the movie, um, which monkeys have had a negative impression or a negative connotation to black people as well. And to have that, those things, all those impressions, sometimes we need to change these scenarios to get the impression going. What if it was a white monkey, or what if the face coming out that was scary was white rather than brown? These are things that we need to think about as a society when and movie producers need to think about these things, so you can stop putting these negative impressions out that goes into children's mind, and now they have these impressions, and these ideas about black people or darker skinned people or brown people. So I think we definitely need to be conscious of these things, when you're making movies. There needs to be an awareness of this, of these the impression and the images that you're putting out there. Okay. Whew. Other thing about this movie is the the wicked. I guess it's wicked. The wicked witch had braids. Braids. Okay? Who has braids? You could put her as green, but when you put her in braids and you put a black woman to portray her, you're clearly signifying that she's a black woman. And so let's not forget that. You put her in braids. Guys, this was a musical and it was great. The musical, um I like seeing musical normally on Broadways. I don't usually like seeing musicals on TV, but the songs were really good, and they really did a great job of singing the song. So I dealt with that. I was okay with that. I do love musicals when I watch them like on Broadway and things like when I see it live. I like to see a musical live, not usually on TV, but I thought that one was good. I did see the color purple that was portrayed as a musical as well, and I thought that was okay as well. But in general, I'm not really that into TV or movie musicals. Uh, but I did enjoy their singing. Normally, I'm the kind of person who cries at a movie. This movie, I didn't shed a tear. It there was no really emotionally sad parts that got me going and made me feel a lot of emotions. I didn't find that, but it was lighthearted, so it wasn't. It didn't create that impression of something really sad. I didn't get that from this movie. Okay, so let's discuss for a second the fact that the Green Witch, the Wicked Witch, was born to biracial parents. So she had a black mother and a white father, and she came out green. Okay. And she also came out with woolen hair. She came out with hair that's normally more associated with black people. Um, when she came out, her father shunned her right away. These are just all the type of negative impressions that, I wish they had actually made that character white and Galinda black. Because then, if you really want to make changes and you really want to show a different impression, you would do something like that. And that's how I would look at it. And then you get a different image going in people's minds. But to continue to put these images in people's minds that black is bad and white is good, it's just, it has to stop. At some point, it has to stop. So that's what I hope will happen in the future, that we can be conscious of these things and realize that they're happening and we're seeing them. At least I am, and I'm sure other people are seeing it too. So I'm hoping that these kind of things would change. Also, just the whole thing, the angry black woman. That's also another thing that shows in this movie. She's angry, and then it's like she has no reason to be, and then you know Galinda's character is giving her the impression that, why are you feeling this way? Like, she doesn't have a right to feel this way based on how she's being treated. Even the sister relationships, the two between Alphaba and her sister. Um, so on one, Alphaba is forced to accept her circumstances despite how the world is treating her. She's supposed to just be okay with it. And she goes through this guilt of her sister being disabled because her father um decides to give the sister some some flowers, or the father decides to give the sister some type of remedy which she hopes will make it so that she doesn't come out green like her sister. um and this whole that made the sister paralyzed, and it also killed the mother, or the mother died based on all of this. And then Alphaba is feeling guilty, like it's her fault. No, why is it even an idea that it's her fault? The father gave the mother the medication that caused the issue. So I didn't see it's like she took on Alphaba took on a lot of the wrongs, and I don't think the movie made it clear enough that it's not her fault. I think there were some efforts made, but I don't think the efforts were strong enough to make it so that it wasn't her fault. Now, as I said, I didn't see the Broadway version, so I don't know if part two is going to make some of this stuff more clear or not, but that's just some of the things I noticed from part one. Another theme I noticed in the movie was about around her emotions, how Alphaba needs to control her emotions, which is one of those things that are pushed out, impressions that are pushed out about the aggressive black woman, and how she needs to control her emotions. Like, she doesn't have a right to feel the way she does based on the circumstances that are being dealt to her, which she has every right to feel the way she does. And the fact that she needs validation from Galinda, not only the validation from Galinda, but she needs Galinda to make her seem whole or to make her feel better. I just thought those themes were negative, and if you have kids watching that movie and they're looking at it, it gives that impression that we need a savior in the white woman. And also, if you look at it, okay, so you have Galindo, which is the main character. So she's the main character, she's up front, and then here comes Mr. Chiseled, Mr. Chiseled, who's also the main character. And they're the ones who are seen most in a positive light. So, as I said before, you have black people are seen in a negative light. You have disabled people being seen in a negative light. You have her redheads, because now she doesn't she has the pick of who she wants, and she doesn't want the redhead, So she pushes the redheads to the disabled person. So again, she's at the top of the totem pole, and that's an impression that it gives. And not only that, um you have overweight, plus size women who are seen in a negative light as well. So I just felt the movie portrayed a lot of images of everyone other than the blonde white woman and the blonde and the chiseled white male, in a positive light. Most of the other characters were seen in a negative way. And again, these are the impressions that we're giving to our young people, and this is why society continues to react in the way it does, I think, in a lot of ways. And again, these are just my opinions on what I notice. Okay, let's discuss that scene on the dance floor. That's when Alphaba came in, and everyone was, kind of at this point making fun of her, and Galinda comes out on the dance floor with her, and she starts dancing with her, feeling sorry for her. And now, because she does it, it's like we need the validation. She needed the validation of Galinda in order to appear in a positive light, in order for everybody to say she's okay. Get it? Okay. Got it. Galinda went as far as to tell Alpha that she's her project, and because she's less fortunate than her. Which this type of language is language that we hear in society around black and white women. So there's a lot of quiet impressions that are being put out there in this movie as well. Okay. The end of the movie, I'm glad there's a part two coming up, and I'm hoping that it's not that a part two, but if there is a part two, I'm hoping that they're gonna fix some of these wrongs that are going on with this movie, because at this point I see uh Alphaba being ostracized because she has integrity, she's honest, and she has a moral compass. So I see her being ostracized because of these reasons. And I don't see how that's going to teach a young child a lesson that's positive. To me, this movie doesn't portray black women in a positive light. It portrays white males and blonde females come out looking the best in this movie. Okay. I would have much preferred if they had put the Alphaba character as a white woman and the Galinda character as a black woman. If you really want to make a change, if you want to change the impressions that people have in society, that's how that's what you would do. But I think these producers, these movie studios, they want to continue these impressions. They want to keep the power structure the same. They want to make black people look a certain way and white people look a certain way, and that's just the impression I have from watching this movie. Again, I love the ladies. I think they do great work, but I think this movie is flawed, and that's just my opinion on it, guys. All right. So thanks for listening, and you have a great day.